Greetings. I believe true success comes from enjoying what you're doing, enjoying the process, meaning when you start something, enjoying it enough to see it to the finish or to its finish, and that finish doesn't need to be predetermined. A finish can come when you've had enough, when everything's clicked and that's just enough for the day, or when what you're focusing on or what is highlighted within your practice is satisfied. So what I see a lot going on is, and I've seen this for years, and when I first started, I believed that this was necessary because that's what people wanted and what they expected to be given, and that's a prescriptive process. That's a list of exercises, lists of reps, leading to a goal or culmination. I believe that there is still some value in that because most of you will not hire a coach, a private coach, or have somebody guiding you through a session in an organic fashion, which is what I do 100% of the time when I work with my clients. I don't plan out anything. We just go by flow, feel, we connect, and then I kind of see how they move, and again, it just flows, and at the end of that 25-30 minutes, we've arrived at a really good place every time. If we don't, I take that personally, that either I was distracted or it's something to do with me not connecting with them in that moment. But the prescriptive process needs to have room, a lot of leeway, a lot of room for personal choice. If you're given something, or if I design something for you and lay it out, say in a calendar view, you need to understand that there's some things within that workout that you're going to hopefully want to explore. And that may be where your energy goes, and you may not do the entire thing, but what you're doing or what you're understanding along the way is to seek a certain feeling, right? To create a certain feeling within a circuit, a set, an exercise, or a series of movements, or a linked, some sort of a flowing dumbbell flow or body flow or whatever it is you're doing. Finding your place within that movement structure is key, okay? So in a training session, we may be going from exercise A to exercise B to C, and what we're doing, or what I'm doing, is I'm prioritizing one of those three, and the other two are maybe auxiliaries, or maybe prioritizing two, one more than the other, and then the third one may be some sort of an auxiliary or transitional movement, so we continue the flow, right? And so maybe there is a recovery or rest period, but it's combining some movement, or at least getting you thinking about a different recovering while being active. So the traditional prescriptive format, again, is laid out, right? So you've got reps, you've got sets, you've got numbers, you've got an end goal. If you're running, you've got X amount of intervals to hit. You may have a distance to cover, time to cover, all these different variables that are fun to play with and manipulate as a coach. But in reality, that the athlete brings so much, or the human, the client, whatever you want to call the person, brings so many other elements into that session that you can't predict what the flow is going to look like, or what that person, you, are capable of doing within that workout on that day. And the rigidity of it is so restrictive in that you may have the mindset where you have to do this session on this day, when really it would probably be better to do something easier, maybe a different form of movement, and postpone that difficult session or that long session to another day, or even just eliminate it from your week. All stress is cumulative, okay? And so by enjoying what you're doing, enjoying the process, and having the ability to naturally sink into your session, you're going to get great results. And those results are going to be mental and physical. They're going to be visual, which is what most of us want. We want to control our image, okay, by what we eat, what we drink, how we move, and just how we take care of ourselves and respect ourselves, and that's where that self-love and self-care comes in. A lot of life's elements are removing those factors, are trying to take those things away from you. They're trying to manipulate your taste buds, your desires, okay, your process. They want to become involved in your daily flow, whether it's your routine of watching a certain show every night for X amount of hours, getting on an app and being distracted, or maybe having your energy shifted and pulled certain ways by that stimulus or by that those triggers, okay, that are built into those things you go to, right? Everybody wants your attention. Everything wants your attention, whether it's fast food, magazine, webs, like I've mentioned, anything to do with media is craving your attention, okay? Because your eyes and your ability to consume is what they desire, right? And so if you desire to maximize your personal life, yourself, okay, then you're going to eliminate those other things. You're going to minimize them, right? And you're going to understand that when you do sink into your session, your training session, whether that's something that has accountability built in, like a private session with a trainer, coach, or some other practitioner, or whether it's a class that you sign in on at a certain time each day and you prioritize, meaning you don't cancel it, or you pre-plan your week to make sure that thing happens. Those are all positive habits. If you build in a certain amount of time, whether it's early in the morning before your day gets real busy, or in the evening, if you sink into it in the evening as more of a cool down type period, that's a great way too. But by doing that, you're showing yourself, your organism, that it's a priority, right? So these positive things are a priority, and the more you do that, the more you're going to choose better food, right? You're going to understand that it's, as an adult, with all the abilities you have to purchase, sort of whatever you want, meaning food-wise, drink-wise, whatever, all those different pleasures, so to speak. You can't have those every day. You can't have Christmas every day, or whatever your birthday doesn't occur every day. So you cannot satisfy those urges continuously. Otherwise, you're just going to be in this repeated cycle, right, of thinking of it, getting it, and desiring it. So this is where the discipline aspect comes in. Some people don't like that word, mainly because it's been associated with being forced to do something you don't want to do. But this little motto I really enjoy that I say all the time is do it anyway, right? So it's, it's healthy, it's positive, and you really only have this moment, and that's now, right? That's this day, that's this hour, to change your state, right? To work towards something, to understand yourself more, to understand your body more, your weaknesses, your strengths. If you want to work on those weaknesses, the big question is why. Once you know why, we can always figure out how. But if that why is external, like your calves don't look good enough, or they're not as developed as your friend, that's probably not enough for you to stick to it long term, right? Or maybe it's not even genetically feasible. And so health has so many different aspects. But as somebody who's been doing this a long time, with different goals, or different motivations, that's probably a better word for it. I understand that this act of moving, focusing and understanding body tension, understanding how to flex, understanding what makes a muscle look like a muscle, what gives it that definition, besides being really lean, is learning how to flex and move properly. We see that in athletic events. We see that in yoga. Okay, we see the bodies when they're in a position, they look a certain way. Okay, they have a certain image, certain beauty to them. We see that in runners. Okay, we see that no matter what the sport is. Okay, it comes to fruition through the mind, right? So that mind is the key element connecting you to your personal practice. So if you don't have one, or if you're thinking about how to get into a positive routine, just sit down with yourself. A quiet space, uninterrupted. Early in the morning to me is the best time, because nothing has affected you yet. You haven't left your house. You haven't moved. You haven't been tasked with doing anything for anyone externally. And so during that time, you can just spend a few minutes journaling. You can spend a few minutes just thinking, or maybe reflecting on, what the vision you had for yourself at a young age was, and maybe why or how why you've either gotten off path, or maybe it's just deprioritized that fitness element, which happens to all of us at some point. then reignite that fire, and thinking of a specific result and really attaching yourself to that result can be cancerous to the process, because again, we're changing every day, we're changing every year, okay? Our motivations are changing, but as long as this personal priority of health, fitness, image, whatever it is a part of who you are as a human being, and you understand that this process is not a forever process. I mean, this time is really it's minimal for all of us. That living our best life isn't selfish. It isn't I guess the best word is selfish. There's nothing else to add to it. It is your chance to kind of experience your best self and to be your best friend, own personal best friend, by doing these healthy things and creating positive thoughts and just directing yourself towards that future that's really bright and prosperous and positive. And I think you're going to bring that energy to the world when you're on that path. When you've got that physical element figured out, you're going to be a very inviting person to be around, because you have a different energy. You have kind of elevated your state, and that will be reflected just in who you are, how you speak, and where you take your days and how you fill them. And if you're a parent, if you're an influencer of young people, man, that is a powerful element. It's just how you care for yourself, and being how you prioritize your physical existence. I believe that is a very profoundly educating behavior for your children, for whomever you're influencing. Is always actions speak louder than words. We know this, but I think as adults, we get so used to being to fulfilling positions in our life, and that fulfilling those positions is kind of requiring other people to establish a certain behavior, when really we all learn best by example. If somebody told me to do these exercises at a young age that wasn't physically fit, or that didn't do them themselves, I'm probably less likely to believe them, even though I may love and trust them. But if they're doing them and they can make a muscle, or they can show, or they can run a mile really fast, or they can hike uphill, whatever it is that they're trying to, whatever they're trying to get me to do, if they can demonstrate that they can do it themselves, or they've done it, or they know how the best way for me to do it, then there's more likely that I'm going to pick up on that, And we can't as the primary, the primary person in those kids, in your family members' lives, we can't tell someone to do something we're not already doing ourselves. Okay, and so that applies to all areas of life. But with health and fitness, again, the example is there. If you're drinking water, you're eating good food, you're going to bed on time, you're prioritizing movement and exercise, young people they're gonna wonder. You might be, instead of being an anomaly, you're going to be that prime example that they compare other people, other adults to, and you want to be that top of the food chain. Like, you want to be that prime example for your kids, for your family members. And again, it doesn't have to have a prescription to it. It's just kind of the way you live your life, the way you enjoy your days, and the way you engage with your movement. So this was kind of a little longer rant than I planned on, but I want to, when I do feel these things, I want to get them out and communicate them to you, because I don't really have that many opportunities to communicate this stuff that I'm thinking about all the time. And so whenever I sit on my yoga mat outside, my mind just starts flowing. Okay, my body knows that, okay, the mind is connected to it now, right? So just having driven for 5 hours, it's like you're focused on other things. You may be distracting yourself with the radio, with a podcast, with whatever's coming in, all the stimuluses that are coming in, accelerating, decelerating, braking, all that stuff pulls you away from your physical existence, okay? So center yourself, find your practice. There's no perfect way to do anything, but just do that thing that connects the other healthy things to and with your life each and every day. And I guarantee you that this complicated process that the world is giving to you can be simplified just by that, by you dedicating a little bit of time to your body. If you have any questions at all about that process or what might work best for you, love to have a conversation with you at any time in any form. Just reach out to me, okay? Have a great day. I'm gonna stretch.